Dr. Bashir shows off his cool red outfit. Chairman Nilva is very tempted by snail steaks and drinks Sluggo Cola, the slimiest cola in the galaxy. You guys were supposed to jump in the galaxy.
No, in the galaxy.
That's right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule Choir with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 23, Prophet and Lace, written by Ira Steven Behr and Hans Beimler, directed by Alexander Siddig, May 13th, 1998. We have a very special guest today, Lita herself, Miss Chase Masterson.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
And everybody knows it is a Nog episode. So we've got Melissa Longo over here as well. 3 cheers.
Yay.
Wowie. May 13th, 1998. How things have changed, hopefully, in the last 24 years. So how's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Doing very well.
This episode.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
Chase.
you're gorgeous in it, Chase.
Oh,
Very kind. Thank you. As you are always, Cirroc.
You're amazing.
That's true.
You're so cool in this episode. I mean, there's so many things that you do that I really like.
Thank you. I loved working on this episode. I loved working with Siddig as a director. I just called him Siddig. I don't know why, but old habits die hard. It was so much fun. It's always so much fun to see an actor directing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Because they get the little nuances, and I feel like, especially with this episode, because it's kind of a playful episode, you know, with Quark getting all done up and whatnot, and and because it's so playful, it helps to have somebody who's in the trenches with you, who is familiar with you, that can kind of bring out the side of you that might be, you know, some inhibitions, knows how to kind of shake things up so that those inhibitions aren't there. I thought that was a good job of kind of loosening up everybody's feel.
That is really good insight. That's a great point. I'd never thought of it that way, but sure, it absolutely would help. Because, you know, when it's all in the family, it's just easier to be yourself and play.
Yeah.
Chase, can you turn us sideways again? Sorry about that.
Thought I was. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks.
There you go. Oh,
am I sideways now?
It works now. Something changed. Sorry. So you said you absolutely loved this episode. And for me, I have very mixed feelings about this episode. So I'm very happy that you said you loved this episode, because I would like to hear why. Is it the memories of shooting it, or is it the final product, watching it in hindsight or back then, or what is it that you really like about it?
Okay, so here it is. Teaching Quark how to be a woman. It doesn't get better. That's it. That's like the ultimate thing an actor can do. Oscar or Emmy. I mean, I'm good. We're done. Really. No, it was so much fun because it was so playful. And I think I see things in that light rather than necessarily, you know, the dramatic qualities or the, you know, the final, how it equates to the rest of Star Trek. I had a great time. And I think we all did. And I think it was fun seeing, you know, look, we need these light episodes in Deep Space Nine. The rest of it's so heavy. And it just, I don't know, maybe some people thought it was too silly. I know that happens. People think that of the Ferengi episodes, and that's fine. But I think the comic relief does help. Totally.
Was it funny on set those days? Were you guys just focused on getting it perfect? You know, was Siddig like just really like yelling at you guys, you better get it right? Or was it like lighthearted and fun, like the whole gang is here, is what it felt like?
It was super lighthearted and fun. And that's partly because of Armin's breasts. Because
I didn't think you were going in that direction.
Yeah. So they were with birdseed. I should say Lumba, I think was her name, right?
Yeah, Lumba.
So, like, that's what they were made of, and everyone had to touch them, and everyone had to. And I think that Cecily said that about Moogie's breasts, but how much better if they're Armin's breasts, you know? So that was great. Here it is. The payback of seeing one of your male stars walk around in heels. Try that, baby. So okay, it's schlock, it's shtick, but whatever. It was fun, and as always, Aron was a blast and fun and silly. And Siddig was a great director to work with. I really think he was. He is a good director, and is able to find nuance and fun amidst this nuance and meaning amidst the silliness.
Now, did you have rehearsals at Armin's during this episode?
I don't think we did. There were no drag rehearsals, if that's what you're referring to.
I know that he used to like to get the crew together and the Ferengi family together for rehearsals during an episode. I just wondered if that happened during this one too.
He did. I don't think it did. I think that we just let this one go, man. We want to get that take fresh,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of meaning in this whole thing. There's always rich meaning in the midst of or underneath these Ferengi episodes. And I don't know. I'd love to hear you guys take on that first, and then I'll chime in if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that first of all, when I was watching it, I was thinking, Lita must be thinking, what have I gotten myself into with this Ferengi family? Like this is the family I'm marrying into.
I'm
like,
stuck.
Right. Like, damn, I should have thought of the in-laws. You're not just marrying the person; you're marrying the family.
Yeah, and Quark's the smart one, right? So you're like, hey, you're the smart one. There were some fantastic moments in this. I really like the moment where Rom tells his brother, "You got to walk like this, brother," and you have to.
That was a pretty good impression. Yeah.
And the way you reacted to that, like, oh wow, like,
yes,
like I never knew that you had that in you, Rom. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I thought it was funny that you were protecting Rom's family jewels from getting changed into a woman when Quark was like, maybe he should be the woman. You're like, no, he's mine. No.
Look, we're inclusive. So all joking aside, Rom wants to walk like a woman, then I love him. It's
no, he was great at it.
But,
he was great at it.
Yeah,
and even the sitting down. I love the sitting down scene where he's like, you have to.
Oh my gosh.
Put
your knees together.
It's more of a glide. Yeah. And then he said, when you sit down, keep your knees together, relax your shoulders, and keep your bottom tight. And then when Quark actually sits down, he's like, tighten your bottom.
Yeah, I love those moments. But I thought that Lita's character showed a lot of poise and restraint in a certain particular moment. And the moment for me was the Nagus meeting, being introduced to you. Like Rom said, this is my son Nog. He's in Starfleet. And he's like, yeah, I won't hold that against him or something like that.
Yeah,
perfect.
And then he says, and this is Lita, and he does something which is so characteristic of Ferengi chauvinistic behavior and culture, but he basically comes on to you in a very, I thought, super rude kind of a way.
Oh, hi, Lita.
Yeah, oh, hi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Creepy. First of all, you're my mother-in-law's husband. Second of all, no. Just no. And, you have visible hair growing out of your nostrils. So
Yeah,
looking for someone to braid them for him.
Yeah, that's what Moogie's for.
Yeah. We're inclusive, but maybe, not that.
Yeah.
But I thought you showed a lot of poise in that moment and didn't really overreact, because they did have the kind of cut to you guys. And you didn't overreact in that moment. You just kind of like, hey, these are the Ferengi. This is what they kind of do, this kind of stupid stuff. And they're inappropriate sometimes. So you were very accepting of that culturally, without overreacting. But it did make me think of this kind of Academy Award moment. I felt like Rom could have had the jurisdiction to come up and slap the Negus in some, I felt like he had license in that moment, because one, you're with my mom. Two,
right.
You want to cheat with my mom with my wife. So it's like, that's a double-sided kind of cheat move for me. It's like you're cheating on my mom with my wife. That deserves a slap almost. I think that's right there in the
in the slap range.
Yeah, that's in there.
So many levels.
Yeah, it is wrong on so many levels, but it stays true to who Zek is. I mean, he's been like this from the beginning.
Yeah.
True Ferengi through and through.
Just one more way to be inappropriate.
Yeah.
Kind of like that waves. So, yeah. And of course, Wally is such a gem and so flawless an actor, and so, like, just suitably wonderful and creepy and endearing. I mean, it's like he has this capability that you are like physically repulsed and you might, it's affecting your stomach, but you also want to hug him.
It's really weird.
Dynamic.
It's very weird.
That's I was getting the impression of like burping a baby when you're like hugging and it's puking over your shoulder at the same time. Or like but there was one great exchange there was when Zek is trying to come on to Lita, and Moogie says, Lobkins, don't do that. That's Rom's wife. And he's like, so? And she's like, so she's poor, which is a totally different. It's like, oh, right. Totally different direction. We're like, you tell him. Oh, no, that's not. No, that's not.
She's poor. She knows her man.
It's like the writers, they hit all the notes. I mean, for all of the silliness, it was just it's so beautifully written, and they don't miss a beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's another moment for me. Your reaction to it, because they don't write reactions. However you react is kind of like how you're going to react, right? They're not going to write that in the script. So if you're offended by something, or if it makes you upset, it's going to be visible on your face. And but you were very, once again, in that moment of she's broke or she's poor. It was like, that's another offensive thing to say to you, right? So that's that's not cool, really, even though it's cool amongst the Ferengi, kind of their conversation, because they look at everything through dollars and cents. Mm-hmm. But in general, that's kind of an offensive thing to say to somebody, right? And once again, you had the class and the poise to not be offended or react in such an offensive way. You absorbed it, like, okay, this is my future mother-in-law. I'm not going to get off on I'm not going to start one.
This her
so
mother-in-law.
You process, her mother. That's my mother-in-law. I think so at this point, right?
Yeah, they're married.
Yeah.
So you didn't start a fight over that. It was I thought it showed a lot of grace on Lita's part to be able to kind of take those blows and not get carried away or overreact, and kind of just show like I have enough class to move on past this kind of low blow that you're dishing out. I thought that was nice.
Thank you. I mean, there is an element of when they go low, we go high.
Yes.
And then also I have to admit, I don't know that I would do that, and it would still be okay when we don't do that. If it's like, hang on a second, you don't talk to me that way. That's probably more of my response. Or don't say that to that person, not on my watch. That's when, Chase the activist comes out and goes, get your, check yourself. And so
that's the chase we love.
Well, thank you. I think both both reactions are okay depending on where you want to go, the time and the
circumstances.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
this one is obviously you're dealing with the Ferengi, you understand their culture, you're married to one, you know how they behave, and you also know that the kind of things they're trying to overcome with Moogie and the movement of wearing clothes and empowering women. So I think it's being able to process all of that in the moment is what makes you make those decisions on whether or not to stand up for yourself or to just allow stuff to roll off, you know?
Well, yeah, because there is a time and a place for things where you have to learn when to finesse something or when to go hard at something or when to, the duck and let it roll it off your back. So
that's an interesting discussion because you have the dichotomy of Ishka and Lita, whose final goals are both the same thing with regards to the Ferengi, which is to enlighten them and bring them more into, a better kind of culture where, of non-chauvinistic tendencies, which is a huge task because they have so far to go. But Ishka is the blunt object. She's like, you better do it, beat, whatever. And Lita is the more patient, subtle, moving slowly, bringing in Rom, who's kind of an easier guy to work with because he's much more caring and open-minded. So they're kind of, I wonder if they did that, the writers did that deliberately to where they're like, well, we can't have Lita be a blunt force object because that's what Ishka is. They need to hit it from both angles.
Mm-hmm.
Always thought that's a wonderful statement. I really appreciate that, Ryan. I've always thought that about Lita in general, as compared possibly also to Dax and Kira, because they are strong women and Lita is also a strong woman. And it's not that Lita is any less strong. It's just that we all go about having and showing our strength in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a conversation recently on the cruise about strength and grit and all that stuff and how our characters have or haven't got it. And I contend that Lita does. You don't have to show aggressive strength or to wear strength on your sleeve in order for it to be strength. And I knew that while we were shooting and thought, well, if Lita is strong in those same ways, then she's just she's another woman who's doing the same thing as the others. Let's show these different colors and be glad for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, patience and understanding are very powerful signs of strength as well. It's not easy to be patient or to be forgiving or to be understanding when somebody's being terrible or an ass or whatever. So those to me are very strong signs of strength, personally.
I absolutely agree. And I always felt that way about Lita.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Thank you. Thanks. So talk to me about, the reasons that Quark was dressing up as a woman. I think those are deep and rich reasons too. But it's been a while since I saw this episode, to be honest with you. So can we talk a little bit about that? And I just like to weigh in on that if that works for you.
Yeah. Who wants to cover this one?
I don't know. I want to hear from you, Cirroc, because you know the dynamics, and then I'll chime in if that's okay.
Well, the short story is that Moogie was going to be the person who does this talking and kind of negotiating originally. But because she has this heart attack moment with Quark, she's not capable to articulate the reason why Ferengis need to move towards empowering women and letting them be clothed and integrating them into the economy and society. So that's where the Quark having to dress up like a woman, because it needed to come from a woman. A woman had to say, these are the reasons why it's important for women to advance in this Ferengi culture. So that's where it comes from. And because they couldn't find anybody else who had the same kind of savvy and the same kind of ambition and motivation for not only to just describe what the cause was for, but also to explain it in terms of business, which is why it would be why the men would be convinced. The men would be convinced because it made business sense for them to do it. And so because Quark is the explainer and has the business mind, that combination of him having the business mind and also dressing or being a woman would be enough to convince some of the top brass of male leadership that yes, this is a sensical thing for us to do.
Well, and it had to come from a Ferengi female, not just because
they considered you being the representative, and maybe transforming you or having you dress up in a Ferengi, transforming you into a Ferengi because you were smart enough and you had that kind of ambition as a woman to see those kinds of desired goals. But they thought it would be better for Quark to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I would have loved it. I would have really just loved it.
There it is. That's it. Yeah.
But that says a lot about Moogie too. You know, that she didn't have anyone else to pass the baton to in her absence. She was kind of she was a loner, and there was no other man that would stand up for women, and there was no other woman that could stand up for women. She is such a suffragette.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really a strong lady.
Mm-hmm.
That it is. That's absolutely correct. And that I think that was one of the things that was highlighted in this discussion. Also, the fact that Quark now being the one that is chosen has to learn those lessons himself in order to teach them to the other Ferengi. So I felt like it was a good vessel for him to undergo this transformation of understanding the value of women's rights in society. So I thought that was another kind of growth.
Such a great point. It's like, what did you say, Quark? Did you hear yourself saying that? Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. The episode starts off with him pretty much pulling a Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
And he was lecherous.
And him flexing his power as a bar owner over one of his employees, essentially saying, if you want to move up in the world, you got to sleep with me. That's what he was suggesting.
Or even just keep your job.
Yeah. Actually, he wasn't even suggesting it. He was outright saying
he suggested it first. And then, you chased off. She's like, I'm out of here. I can't.
I know. My phone did that, but yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So he outright just basically makes an indecent proposal to her, a casting couch kind of a moment. And at first I was like, whoa, this is horrible. This is not what, but they did go through the story to redeem that. They went through the story to redeem this scene. But the scene in the beginning, when you watch it, you're like, oh gosh, this is totally tasteless.
It's just another form of brilliance on the part of the writers to take us in that direction and then go, aha, we're going to turn this on its ear. And somebody show an immense amount of inner tug, conflict, and hopefully growth.
Well, we see a lot of growth in this.
Yeah, some growth, but then at the very end, he kind of started to revert back. But we're still like, all right. I mean, I think it ended up where we were really, really reminded how differently Ferengi view females and people of all kinds and what is acceptable and what isn't. Because every once in a while, we're like, oh, the Ferengi, they're cute, they're just like us. But every once in a while, I mean, especially with this episode, you're reminded, wow, that is so much farther than I thought they would take it.
Yeah, it's really, they're a wonderful device, Ferengi are. I mean, they shine, they hold the mirror up so powerfully in so many ways.
Right. I mean, and also comedy is a really good way to expose this kind of male chauvinism. When Will Ferrell did the movie Anchorman, a lot of his jokes, a lot of the jokes in there were about his chauvinism, right? Like just like that was the sign of the time, and that was the joke. We can look at it as a joke now, and it's played as a joke, But still, this is actually indicative of something real that women have had to overcome across the globe, and it's a very real issue. There are still women that are subjugated to this kind of backwards behavior or mentality that they have to stay in the house and follow these certain rules. And that was one of the things they talked about in this episode when they said, well, if we let them wear clothes, then they'll be able to get out of the house, and then they'll get jobs. Right? Yeah. It was so
tap into the half of the population you're leaving out.
Well, it's the Taliban, right? I mean, frankly,
it's extremist. It's extremism.
Fundamentalist, anything. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
Guys, we have to run to our break right now. But before we do, Chase, we know you have to run. So any final thoughts you can give us before you have to go? Because the three of us are about to rage in the second segment. You can feel it brewing. It's coming. But any final thoughts before you got to run?
All right. First, I'll just say I can't wait to hear this episode. I always love hearing you guys. And thank you for having me here. And really thank you to everybody who sees these Ferengi wacky episodes for what they are, which is really fun and playful, but even on a deeper level, hold a lot of meaning. And as Cirroc said, we can shine the light up to society through comedy as well as drama. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who realizes that and again, doesn't judge books by their cover, but is willing to, what the heck? I'm preaching to the choir here. It's all Star Trek fans, who know that you can't just see a thing like a Ferengi or comedy at face value. There's so much more there. So thank you for having me here. It was really important to me. I'm actually in my car.
It looks like you're in space.
I just wanted to stop everything where I was because I love you guys and I love this episode. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Chase. You are one of the busiest people ever, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us in your car, somewhere out in an alley somewhere, just wherever you can make it happen. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're out to end misogyny. So
yes.
There you go.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, make sure you support Pop Hero Coalition too, guys, out there.
And bekindmerch.org. Everybody check that out. And everybody stick around. We'll be right back on the other side on the 7th Rule.